Hello, my name is Brett. I go by Ambassador in Clash Royale. This video is the first in a series on Mortar Bait for ladder. The deck I'm sharing with you today is an older version of Mortar Bait with Rocket, which I'm affectionately calling Baitman and Rocket. This deck has really become special to me over the course of, well, today. I've been dirtling around 5k all season with various forms of Mortar Bait, and I would always have trouble against decks running 3 spells or arrows, or decks that have 5 elixir splash units like Wizard, Witch, or Executioner. And having Rocket solves many of those problems. For those who have played Mortar Cycle before, this might come as a surprise to you, but Rocket is primarily a defensive card in this deck. Of course, you can Rocket Cycle if you really need to, or get value on the tower, but to cycle 2 rockets costs 9 to cycle, which is a total of 21 elixir just for 2 rockets. Anyways, I'm not doing a comprehensive guide up front because I'll be grinding a bit over the next few days. Hopefully I'll be posting 2 wins and 1 loss to go over with various matchups every day. There's about 5 days left in the season, and I'm hoping to climb a bit and post every day. So with that, let's jump right into the replays. Alright, this first match is arguably the hardest counter to the deck, which is Giant 3 Spell. Now, your ideal starting play is either an offensive Mortar or Spear Goblins at the bridge. This game I go with Mortar, but after playing with the deck more, I'd say Spear Goblins is your best move. Alright, he goes Giant in the back, and then he attacks my Mortar with Lumberjack. I defend with Bats, and then send my Miner in just a little bit too soon, not knowing he had Zap ready. Those Spear Goblins were a bit of a waste, but they cleared up his minions. And Tornado is his medium spell. If it had been Log, I would have been in a bit of trouble, but I'm able to use these Sliver of Health Goblins to turn into a huge push with Bats and Knight. And that's actually the main way to win with this deck, is by turning tiny edges that you earn into huge advantages. This is usually done by turning a defense with Bats, Spear Goblins, or Goblin Gang into a lethal counterattack by using Knight or Miner to tank. Alright, so I'm at a huge advantage right now, so I still want to play aggressive, but I can play a bit slower, just to focus on defense. And that right there is the main reason Rocket is in the deck. Without Rocket, any other form of the deck that I had played before would have struggled to answer that push effectively. One of the main problems I've had this season versus Beatdown has been defending big pushes with the squishy troops. And the short answer is don't let them build their push. Take them off their game plan. By splitting lanes, I force him to overcommit on defense, which doesn't allow him to build up a big push. So you'll see I split my Goblin Gang, I put my Knight to tank, split the Bats. And by overcommitting, one, I take the tower, and he can't build up his push. Also, I'm now holding Rocket in hand to defend. From this point on, the game is fairly straightforward. So there's another giant Witch push, 10 elixir killed for 6. And now 9. Once you're ahead, you want to keep applying pressure, because you don't want to rely 100% on defense. It's not like a Miner control deck where you can just sit back with Inferno Tower. And his last push, same thing. Pretty clean defense, and close up the game. So in summary, you want to play safe early on, cycle Spear Gobs at the bridge, or start right away with Mortar. If you don't have either of those cards in hand at the start, you'll want to cycle Goblin Gang, Bats, or Knights in the back. You never want to send a lone Miner to the tower unless you really need chip to close out a game. Miner's main purpose is to turn cheap defensive units into a huge offensive threat. Alright, well, that's the first one. Let's hop right into the next one. This second game is against Balloon Freeze, And I wanted to show it because it has both Tornado, Fireball, and Wizard, which are both pretty hard to deal with usually. So I make a few misplays in this game, but the main thing that you'll see is the use of Rocket to kill Balloon and other units. So again, Spear Goblins as the starting play. Because he played his Flash unit, I wanted to go in hard in the other lane, forcing him to use a spell. So he's able to kill the bats with the arrows, but the miner gets a ton of damage in. He can't really defend against both at the same time. And again, turning a defense into a counter push. His Valkyrie cleaned it up really well though. So now I know that he has Valkyrie, so I'm not going to play into it. And here's Rocket. And now I want to continue pressuring him to see what other counters he might have. Here, when he dropped Inferno Tower, during the game I was thinking I should have fought over it with Zap and Bats, but in hindsight, letting it go I think was a good decision. I still didn't know his deck at this point, and by waiting, it recovered 1 elixir for me. And with his next push, which is coming up right here with this mini P.E.K.K.A., I'm able to defend and counter push again. So there, I probably should have led with Bats, knowing that he had Log in hand, but I didn't. That could probably be considered a misplay. I would have gotten a lot more damage in. Alright, he definitely should have played his Valkyrie in the middle to distract, but this lets me defend really easily. There goes his arrows, and here's our counter push. Those bats were definitely a waste there. Defensive mortars are always good to recover elixir when they have a lot of medium-sized units. And at this point I didn't know that he had freeze, which he plays right here, and I was really slow on reacting. I should have dropped Spear Goblins a lot sooner, and I probably would have taken a little bit of less damage. So he's about to go hard on the right, so we set up for defense. And I should have just gone straight for Rocket here. That would have been a better play, but I tried to kill with my troops, not knowing if he would freeze or not, which he does. Well, he can go for it, but the Rocket clears it up, and Miner finishes out the game. So a lot of times you'll finish with Miner Chip, especially if it's difficult to get your smaller troops through. Either way, that was a pretty straightforward game. You can really see how Rocket comes in handy, and that's about it. I'm really excited about this last match. I made a ton of misplays, but it really shows the consistency of the deck and the comeback potential. This is against one of the more common Hog Rocket decks. It's been around for a while. It's not as popular as 2.6 Cycle, but it's definitely really good. So there, I didn't want to defend with Bats because, or hold Bats against Ice Golem because they just die. So Goblin Gang's pretty good for that. And a defensive mortar was necessary in case he did log the Goblin Gang. Now against this next push, I did what I should have done, which is I'm going to Rocket right here and fail miserably. There it is. There you go, Cheap Pat. Yep, so he gives me the well played. That's going to be the theme of this game. But it's not over. We've still got enough HP left on the tower to win. And there, if he was a good player, he would have been holding log and been ready to kill my Goblin Gang, but he wasn't. And again, that's a really bad play, just going straight for Princess at the river there, because I'm able to recover because of that. So I have this counter push, which actually gets really good damage in. He's saying well played. He thinks he got a good trade off of it, and that the game is kind of in the bag for him. Keep it going with pressure. He attacks into the mortar. Now that's the spot where you want to put your spear goblins. Maybe even one more tile to the right, but you can see how it dodged the log. And we get quite a bit of damage here. I had Zap ready, knowing he was going to princess, just so that I could get in all the damage that I needed there. Because now I'm at a pretty good advantage in terms of damage. And I just need to play solid defense and then close out with either some miner or a rocket. So we go aggressive in the other lane. Again, bat swing, pretty good chip. Defensive mortars, really good. And he actually makes some really bad plays with his princess into my defensive mortar. Against princess and bait decks, you really want to play a lot of defensive mortars, and you'll accrue a lot of value. And then get most of your offense in with knight miner pushes. So there, yeah, you can pocket your troops further back. Usually the spear goblins, so that they won't get hit by the log. Here's a rocket. I should have rocketed either sooner or a little bit more forward to push the hog back rather than into my tower, but it was the end of the game and he didn't have enough elixir to rocket. So we close out the game. And that's about it, guys. So those are 3 matches with this old school but new for me Mortar Bait with Rocket. Rocket has made all the difference in the world. I really look forward to training with the deck and continuing to improve. It's really fun. You should give it a try. And for these videos, I'm planning on just keeping it the same format. Nothing fancy. The game is a mobile game, so it's helpful, I think, to watch in a full screen format where you can make plays or predictions based on what you would do if you were playing the game. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you have any suggestions or comments or flame and hate because my audio is super crappy because I'm using my $5 earbuds to record this on iTunes iMovies, yeah, go ahead and leave that. Like and subscribe if you'd like more content. And I'm just going to keep posting these. Hopefully it'll help somebody who's interested in playing Mortar Bait, or maybe you hate Mortar Bait and you want to see these just so you can learn how to counter the decks. That's all up to you. Anyways, good luck in the arena, guys, and I'll see you next time.